the people. That's what the accuser is. Who is the accuser? The devil. He accuses you of things that he does himself. And so the worst, the slap in the face of these rich people is the fact that Putin is nowhere to be found in the Epstein file. The only time you hear about Putin there, right, is Epstein was trying to make an appointment with Putin. He kept saying, oh, well, you know, trying to get me involved with Putin. And the KGB or FSB, knowing what was going on, saying, look, don't get close to this guy. Don't never allow this guy close, because we believe that he's a Mossad agent. And so if he wasn't a Mossad agent, why kill him? Right? You could have just killed this Epstein file. If, you know, how is it that somebody who died all these, you know, how many years now, he's still alive until today? Why is it that these files are still making noise? Because someone is using them to completely destroy some people or to blackmail people. And so to me, from what I see and from what I read and from my investigation, what I think is going on is that Israel is using the Epstein file to finally take over the US government, because, you know, this government is basically an Israel puppet. Netanyahu went at least 7 times already to the White House. For what? Because he runs the White House. That's what's going on. And so you've never seen a president go, when Biden was in there, he was probably there 1 or 2 times, right? But with this guy, he's constantly there. And so I think this is them blackmailing the US government, telling them, look, if you don't do what we want you to do, this is what we'll do. And so they can blackmail, whether it's Europe. Look at what's going on in Europe. One of the ambassadors from the UK, found out that he was part of the Epstein file. Now they want Keir Starmer to resign.
Mandelson.
Right? Yeah, so it's unbelievable what was going on in this file. And I'm telling you, whatever came out of the Epstein file is nothing compared to what's in there. That is not out yet. If they pull the real file out, trust me when I tell you. And that's why you see that everything, Iran is connected to this. The only thing that can save us from Iran in this is not Donald Trump, right? What I think can save us is Netanyahu remembering what happened during the 12 days. If he remembers that very well, and he thinks that maybe Iran will just put everything they have, even if they think, oh, well, they're going to shoot a nuclear weapon, we don't care, we're just going to pull everything we have. And if he thinks very well and say, you know what, we might as well stop, like he told him, Donald Trump last time, please don't bomb Iran. That's the only way that we can be safe. Because from Donald Trump's perspective, if he's pressured, if it's too much pressure on Donald Trump, I think he's going to give in. He doesn't want people to know what was really happening in these Epstein documents. Yeah.
Alex, I kind of disagree with that last comment just a bit. Let me tell you why. Some mad things have come out about the leverage through directly or indirectly that they previously thought they did. It's become a lot more like a spider's web. We say in Islam, there's an idea that a spider's web is flimsy. It's a home for a spider, but it's very flimsy, right? It's very weak, of course. So it feels like this is the situation the Israeli state is in. I would say the leverage they thought they had, if they try to use it and it looks like, the American population are quite resilient, actually, quite desensitized, then Israel loses a lot of power, and Trump actually can do what he wants for the American state, as opposed to doing something because he has to for the Israeli state because they got some dirt on him. If he's unshackled, then what is he going to do? America first. And America first means Israel second or third or fourth or whatever. That's my assessment. I'm not sure what you think about that. That I don't think Israel has as much leverage as maybe they had in the past. He's gone back to his village. He's gone back to his village.
It is said the internet could mess him. Okay, we'll wait. Okay, back up. I'll invite him back up. One second.
Maybe you'll come back. I think AI. I think AI has summarized this conversation as these guys are talking about the Epstein files. That's why so many more people are training now. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, I told you my village people don't want me online, so right.
Yeah, that's why when you left, I said you went back to your village.
So no, I think, look, what you're saying, right? Let's say if it's true, that's fine. My thing is this, right? When I'm looking at what is going on with Israel. When I'm talking about what is going on is I feel like there is a transition between them completely taking power over the United States. But like you say, the leverage for me that I see that they have is those are the Epstein file, those are the leverage, right? But let's say it is true that the leverage is not strong enough because obviously, even the CIA or maybe the FBI, somebody got to be telling Donald Trump, look, going to war with Iran is not going to be what you think is going to be, right? So let's completely remove that off of your thoughts, right? And if I'm pretty sure there's a number of people who are telling Donald Trump, look, it's not going to be a matter of winning Iran. You can win Iran as the most powerful, but it's a matter of the damage Iran is going to do. That's really where the major problem is. And so I'm very sure there are people who are telling him, look, don't do that, right? Where I'm coming from is I'm thinking that keep in mind, Netanyahu is someone who is being pursued by, how you call that? His corruption, right? He has corruption charges. If Netanyahu gets to the point where, like you say, maybe he doesn't have enough leverage, but let's say, for example, that he has enough leverage to push Donald Trump to do something that stupid. But like you say, Donald Trump has already, taken a lot of things that he's been, he came out of. If he doesn't have that much leverage on Donald Trump, fine, right? It's no big deal. My only problem is that every single time there's something, is happening, we hear about the Epstein file. And when those files are ready to come out, there's always some type of crazy things that seems to be, happening. Now they have a second armada or whatever, moving up. And that for me is nothing. I think that is just bluff because you're not going to go to war with someone and then move all that equipment, next to them to make that much damage, right? But with those people, I was one of them. My viewers, they're always happy to tell me, oh, you were wrong, right? So I was one of those people who say, I don't think Israel is going to bomb Iran the last time, right? I like to make bold predictions, right? I did that. So my viewers were, quick to come tell me, hey, Alex, you were wrong. And they're laughing at me. And I'm like, okay, fine. Because I thought there were some grown-ups in there. But it turned out to be a good thing because we needed things like that. That's why they're not able to go attack Iran now because they know what happened during the 12 days war, right? So maybe you're right that, I am a little bit too skeptical on this whole thing. I'm thinking that when I see Netanyahu traveling to the White House the 7th time and going over there and saying, look, man, we're not happy. You have to put the ballistic missile on the we all know that the talk is not going to take us anywhere, right? The talk is just a saving face, right? This is a way for everybody to come out of this thing, with something. Like you say, Trump can come out and say, look, we got a deal and it was peaceful. Let's move to the election. If something is going to happen, I believe that it's going to be before the election. Because he has to be before the election.
Election's
because
November
after the election,
this year, by the way, for those
this November, right? This November. Because after the election, Trump will be the weakest president that has ever existed in the United States, right? He may even end up being impeached.
Yeah.
If the Congress is taken by the Democrats and the Senate. If the way things look now, it looks like Democrats may take both houses, right? If it happens, he may even be impeached and they may even remove him based on many different things, right? But for him to go to war after the election is going to be extremely difficult if he loses. Now, but if he wins, let's say, for example, they still have at least the Senate and they lose the House, right? He's going to feel like, okay, it's not that much, or maybe he can still decide to do whatever they want to do after that. So let's hope you're right. Let's hope you're right? And this is to hope that we have some grown-ups in there to remind them of what happened during the 12 days war, right? So
Grown-ups make stupider
Let's see what
mistakes
we
than
have.
children, though. Children make mistakes like they push over a TV. Grown-ups make mistakes that cost the lives of like 20,000 people like that. So, Alex, grown-ups are the dumbest people on earth, basically, because they have the most power and they can make stupid decisions. I think at the end of the day, it's a case of, will America be able to resist Israeli interests being pushed on them? American interests, Israeli interests are, please go to war on my behalf. I'm going to use the American bodies as a human shield. I'm going to chuck you at my enemy, and hopefully the impact takes out my enemy. And Iran doesn't want that. America doesn't want that. But Israel really wants that. So the question is, will America be able to push back and say, you know what, America first, you take a hike, sit down. Actually, just take a breather. I'm going to talk to Iran. Let the parents speak. Sit down. Let the parents speak, and Israel will have to sit down. Iran and America will be talking. But you know what they did last year, in the middle of America and Iran talking. Remember, that's when Israel attacked.
Yeah.
I said at the time it was because America and Iran were getting closer and closer to a deal, and Israel panicked because they can't let that deal be signed, so they attacked and broke it wide open. So the risk is this time might also happen. But like you said, Alex, this time if Israel attacks first to break that deal, very bad news for them, because Iran might just throw the whole kitchen sink, Bismillah, chuck the whole kitchen sink at them. And, Israel can't tolerate that. So Israel's in a much harder position, because this time to break the deal, they actually need America to attack. They can't attack to break the deal because they fear the missiles. They fear the missiles. It's an interesting situation. Anyway, I'm glad I was able to talk. So thanks to everyone, by the way, for all the gift and the support and the greetings and salam. Thanks for facilitating this, Shai. If you guys want to carry on, please do. But I actually have to leave. My internet connection's looking a bit. I'm joking. But muchas gracias, señor. But I want to go check up on my wife, see how she's doing.
All right.
Alex,
Take care, man.
Alex, quick question, Alex. So I heard some of the condition United States and Israel are putting forward is for Iran to give up the missile program and also to give up the uranium. Do you see that happening?
No, that's look. I think that Iran came out and say we can, dilute a little bit and remove a little percentage of the uranium, right? And that is the reason why they are saying that is really because they're looking for a path out for the United States. Because the only one who's embarrassed here is the United States. It's not Iran. Iran is at its own country. They're trying to mind their business. And all they're saying is that, look, once you are ready to bomb, know that we will respond. It's not going to be, any of what you think is going to be, right? So I think that Iran is just trying to give the United States a way out when they're saying, look, we can dilute the uranium. Look, ballistic missile is not going to, they never. Everybody's, even the puppets of the mainstream propaganda are saying the same thing, that, look, they're never going to give it. Now, think about it for a minute. And this is where these people kill me, man. And when I listen, when some of our viewers listen to the mainstream propaganda, they still come and listen to us. I always laugh because I tell them, look, listen to these people talk for a minute. They're not even thinking. They come out and say, "Oh, we destroyed Iran nuclear site, or we send them back months and stuff. We had control over the air system. We really gave Iran a beating." But then at the same time, you come back again and say you want to deal with the nuclear. You're adding even more stuff. You are now saying, before the 12 war, the ballistic missile was not on the program. Now you want to add the ballistic missile. It means that the talk of destroying everything that you were saying at first, where did that go? And at what point did that change, right? So they're using both language at one time when they're standing with the propaganda. Oh, yeah, we gave them a beating. But at the same time, you want them to make a deal again for uranium, nuclear, and now you have added the ballistic. The only reason why you're adding the ballistic missile is because they dealt with you. The beating they gave you is what made you add the ballistic missile in there. Bottom line, right? But at the same time, they claim victory. And then our viewers, some of our viewers who like to get on us, they come and say, oh no, man, the US, they really gave it to Iran. So why are they adding more condition? If they did, you already done the destruction. Why are you adding more? We never knew the ballistic missile could have been a problem, but this is what Netanyahu came to discuss. He said, look, I know you are talking